I'm Steve Madden, editor-at-large for MM+M. We're here in Cannes with another video in our series that we're producing with our partners at Real Chemistry. Joining me today are Chris Charles and Pollina, both of whom are executive creative directors at 21 Grams, which is part of Real Chemistry. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How's your experience been at Cannes so far?
Hot, in many ways. It's been great.
Yeah, tired and very late nights.
That means you're having a good experience, I think.
Yeah, just learning a lot.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about today is the fact that, this is a celebration of creativity, of media, of advertising and everything else. But you guys work specifically in health, right? And health advertising and marketing is held to a different standard than consumer packaged goods, for example. How do you guys deal with the fact that the work that you produce needs to essentially make people better?
Yeah, I think that's what makes the work so exciting. And I think that's what makes the standard need to be higher in healthcare, because there's so much more at stake, right? If somebody doesn't buy a pair of shoes, they don't buy a pair of shoes. But if someone doesn't learn about a condition or a treatment, it could really affect their lives. So to me, that's what drives the creativity, because creative, needs to be effective, both in a creative piece, it has to be effective to earn attention, to get people to engage. And that's what leads to efficacy, as you were putting it, or effectiveness for actual people out there, in their health, which is, the most important thing that we have.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we're hard on ourselves for a reason. There's more at stake, like everyone was saying. So whatever we make is going to change someone's life even more. If it's understanding what a disease is, or maybe a product out there that could help them that they don't know about, whatever it is. So it just, it means more than, say, any kind of CPG product or anything like that.
How do you tell the difference between an idea that's going to grab a lot of attention and one that will actually grab attention and at the same time drive results in this highly regulated space?
Well, you got to do both, right? Like that's what we always say is you gotta hook them first, right? And how we do it is at 21 Grams, what me and Lauren talk about all the time with our teams and everything is you gotta know your audience more than they know themselves, right? You dig and understand all the nuances to that community and that population, then you make them feel something. And then once they feel something, you change their behavior. So that's what we measure. And then when you change that behavior, it's gotta be that real impact that you probably could talk about more.
No, I think the word real is very crucial, and especially here at Cannes. So there's a tendency in the past that people can make work and it feels super sexy and it's out there and it gets a lot of attention, but if it's not designed for an actual patient population, if it's not really made and put out in the world, then it's like a tree in a forest. Like if it falls and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. So we exclusively make work for real clients at 21 Grams. And we make work that's built, to Chris's point, for an audience by understanding them really deeply, but it's built to a strategy to make something done. We don't believe in creativity for creativity's sake. Creativity is here to do a job and to be effective and to work for our clients and for the people, and patients that we serve.
So part of that is addressing people sometimes at a very dire moment in their lives. All of a sudden they're looking for information because they've just got some very bad news about their health or a loved one's health. How does that figure into your approach to creating work?
I mean, I think that it's interesting that people often go to lean into the sad or lean into that the way that people are feeling, the stressfulness of a condition. And then that's often appropriate and that's often needed for people to feel understood or seen in those times. But we really pushed the boundaries over the history really of 21 Grams in featuring humor in our work, because sometimes that's what a lot of audiences need, even at the most crucial, awful times, even with the most difficult conditions. Like I always go to this story of my father had glioblastoma, so he had a very serious brain tumor. When he was in the hospital, he would try to tip the nurses, and he was literally could not stop. Everything was a joke all the time, because that's what that's who he was and that's what he needed. So there's really no condition where humor isn't a possibility. It's really just if that's what the audience needs.
Has that impacted your work?
Definitely. So yeah, I mean truly, it's I think everybody is a patient, really, in their lives, and everyone, many people have been caregivers, and someone who's gone through serious conditions. So bringing that to the work, and not just what my father went through, but anytime when I'm going through a healthcare experience or somebody I know is, you bring that to the work, and it makes it more human. And we often share stories. Everyone at the agency shares stories about, I know someone who went through this and that wouldn't work. That combined with insights and all of the AI data and all the things we have at our disposal is how we really understand what's going to be right for people.
Chris, is that always in the back of your mind that you're dealing with people at a very serious moment in their lives?
Yeah, like it's the common, what Lauren was saying, it's the common denominator. Like we're all human beings, we all get sick at some point in our lives in varying different degrees. So the thing is, imagine like when shit hits the fan and you are swirling and you're all over the place and you don't know anything about your disease or what could help you. You maybe not even be able to hear what your doctor's saying to you. We have to make stuff that communicates through that, not just like that beats our competitors or whatever. We actually have to make something that's gonna make someone feel or earn their attention to understand what our message is so that it could actually help them. That's why we put ourselves through so much scrutiny, because it really could change someone's life.
Lauren, can you tell me about a piece of work that you found particularly affecting?
The first thing that comes to mind is a piece that we submitted to Cannes this year and was actually awarded one of the very few lions, so we're very proud of that. It earned a bronze lion. And it was done with Jazz Pharmaceuticals, a client that's been with us for many years. See a Seizure, which was a digital resource that we made for healthcare professionals and caregivers in the epilepsy community. Disease state that Jazz works in includes some very subtle seizure disorders. So not the seizures that people think of right away necessarily, but these smaller seizures that may not be easily recognized to many people, even neurologists. As difficult as this is, and as difficult a condition as this is, there's never been a digital resource where people can look at, this is what a seizure looks like. So we went about working with top HCPs in the field, along with top motion capture experts, to actually recreate these seizures in a digital format so that HCPs, caregivers, as I said, could access them and start to really recognize them in their practice. The thing that's so compelling about this piece, it was a beautiful piece, but was that within a week of it launching, 6 people were diagnosed with the condition and put on treatment. So this is a condition that could take up to 15 years, like easily, to be diagnosed. So this piece specifically got 6 families' lives changed forever. So
That's amazing.
it's pretty awesome.
Chris, is there a piece of work that you found especially moving?
I got to see all of it this year because I was on the Cannes jury, so it was a really special thing. And there's a lot of pieces of work, but just to talk about the effectiveness again, nostalgia came to the forefront, and we brought Bill Nye, the science guy, back from the 90s, and to explain disease awareness around Friedreich's ataxia. He has a form of ataxia himself in his family, and he was very passionate about it.
What kind of ailment is that?
It's a ultra rare neuromuscular disorder. It affects like all your motor function and everything, and the life expectancy is it's pretty short. It's like around 40 to 50. The reason why we needed a disease awareness was there's a lot of people that go undiagnosed, and there's a hypothesis out there that it may not be as ultra rare as we think. So we needed a big campaign to really get out there and to get people genetic tested, and we hooked them, and it just, people absolutely love the show. We made it feel like the 90s, and that's why it's called nostalgia, is because we tapped into the nostalgia of the 90s, which is really, really big now. Like everybody's obsessed with it. That really resonated with everyone, the community, and more. And the effectiveness, it drove over 1,100% more genetic tests for Friedreich's ataxia.
That's amazing. And that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, how do you know when your work is effective?
When you have to set benchmarks beforehand, and you have to measure everything. Like, that is so important. You cannot just go out there and say, hey, we're going to do this big thing, and just not even look back, and then not measure it at all, and just said it worked because a couple people were happy about about it, right? Like, so I think it's two things. There's qualitative. There's how the community feels and what they've experienced, and understanding them and how it's changed their lives whenever you do a campaign. And then there's those actual the actual goal that you set out to do with your campaign. You plan that way before, when you make the idea, and then you make sure that it hits that goal in some kind of impactful way with the audience.
Yeah, I feel like the goalposts are, even narrower than ever for many of our clients, right? It's not enough to just prove that something got views or clicks even. They want to see, how is this actually going to drive the business? How is this actually going to help the community? Things that are really important to do, but in the new world of healthcare, that's what we're being tasked with. So the KPIs are richer now. I think that, more specific to, are people getting diagnosed? Are they driving testing? Are they driving diagnosis? Things like that. So to us, that's the kind of a bigger goal that we're setting for 21 grams, to think about things in that bigger end game. So we're going beyond, like I said, the views or the clicks, to be like, how is this going to impact our clients, our business, their business, and the patient and doctor communities that we serve. So to us, if you're delivering on that level of effective, then that's the real goal. That's real success.
So this is kind of a philosophical question. You guys work in advertising, right? So is advertising meant to make people want stuff or survive stuff?
We don't make the medicine, right? We make the communications around the medicine. So it's not that, Chris and I are never going to be able to go home and be like, I saved a life today, necessarily, because that's what we, try to help our clients do. They're the ones that, I think there's a ton of creativity in the pharmaceutical industry that people don't recognize, because you have to be incredibly creative to make that kind of medicine. So I think that we need to get people to want to learn. We need to get people to want to look into diseases more, or to treatments more, that may help them survive. Sometimes that literally means surviving something. Sometimes it means surviving like a period in their life that's a really difficult one. So it is gratifying. Most of the people I know that come in and interview at 21 grams are saying that they want to get into the field for that, because they know at the end of it that there's something positive that's happening. Pharma gets a bad rap, but it really, at the end of the day, that's what is saving people's lives and helping them and bettering people's lives.
Chris, what do you think about that?
I think it all comes back down to making them feel different things in different ways for different purposes, right? So any of the good pharma stuff, say 8 years ago, it was always like tearjerker stuff, like purposeful tearjerker, like over and over and over again. And that was all good, but like, there's so many different emotions that a human has that you could tap into. Like, if you think of a consumer, they're all over the place. Why couldn't we do that to get someone through a tough time? So that's why, Friedrich's Back last year won gold, and it was the first branded pharmaceutical campaign in comedy that won gold.
That 21 grams worked on.
Yeah, 100%. And like, the thing is, that's an important thing, because comedy never really was embraced like that, or it was tried to in pharmaceuticals, and it sucked. I'm sorry, it wasn't really great. It's not funny. If something's not funny, then that doesn't help either. You're almost the butt of the joke, like an SNL.
And this year we see Relax Your Tight End
exactly
winning the Grand Prix, and it's humorous.
And that's great. And even Viagra that got gold.
Right.
That's humorous too.
Yeah.
They made these physical products to get around a regulation, but those ads, if people look at the work, those ads are hilarious, like, with the sexual innuendos and all that. Yeah.
Chris and Lauren, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. It's probably nice to get in out of the heat, but still, you're busy people, and I appreciate you joining us today. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man.
It's great.
Thanks for watching. You've been watching another in a series of videos that MM+M is producing here in Ken. Check back later. We'll have more. Thanks.